Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. Tonight's show is, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title is The Triumph of Good Over Evil. And that is because tonight's show is going to cover all of the predictions for the whole year of 2023 for all of the sun signs. And so this is going to be a year of ups and downs. It's going to be a time when we are going to have to sort of be on the road to recovery for a variety of reasons. It can be that there is some sort of financial setback, and so you would want to sort of have to compensate for that. Or it can be that there could be personal events in your life that even from the past that were painful that you want to recover from and get over. And you could do that this year. It's also a time when you can sort of step up to having a delayed dream come true. And if it takes a little bit of recovering in one way or another in order to make that dream come true, you probably would be willing to do that. So that is possible too. So this is just a time of, at the start of the year, when we are going to have to adjust to a lot of things, since that's why it's a year of ups and downs. But we can also, when we are experiencing something that is painful, even from our past, or something that is occurring in the world today, even if it was somewhere else, it could be somewhat catastrophic, and we would want to help with that as others recover. So there's all kinds of reasons to be on the road to recovery, but I'm happy to say that if you are really going to go for a special dream of yours this year, or you are deciding to be on the road to recovery, maybe you have a lot of bills. Oh, but this is a year when we are going to still have high inflation and high interest rates, and so maybe you're going to want to sort of recover from high debt and pay your bills down. Well, if you were deciding to really stick to that, you could be very successful on your own road to financial recovery. And anybody who wants to be on the road to recovery this year is probably, if they stick to it, is probably going to be a big winner by November. And so that's good, not just for you and me, it's good for everybody in the world. So I hope that we are on our best behavior, because this is a year that I think is all about the triumph of good over evil in one way or another. And if the evil is simply things that are tempting you and you know you shouldn't be doing them, then maybe you can triumph by deciding, no, I'm not going to give way to temptation. I'm going to sort of stick to doing my best. And if you do that, you probably are going to be a big winner by the end of the year. And so what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. For you, Aries, I think that you start the year off with a bang, because this spring is very unusual in that there are no retrograde planets between January 21st and I think April 20th, or January 24th and April 21st. And so since there's no retrograde planets, everybody is going to be moving right along this spring and probably be very busy, and you will be too, Aries. And so in the month of March, a lot of planets, or at least 3 of them, change signs, all in 1 month. And there's still no retrograde planets. So you are going to probably be able to take advantage of that, Aries. And you are going to have Jupiter in your sign this spring. In fact, you've got it in your sign right now. And so I think you can be full of enthusiasm. So I hope you go after a dream of yours, Aries. And not something that will allow you to be at your best, so that you can experience a triumph of good over evil. In other words, if you've made some mistakes in the past, like we all have, maybe you can go forward now and sort of with a clean slate and do a really good job on your own behalf. Maybe by trying something new, which would be good. So this can be sort of a turnaround year for you, Aries. And I would suggest that you be a little bit cautious during the summer, particularly in the month of August, when there will be a new moon in Leo that will trine your sun. Now, Jupiter leaves your sun sign in May. So if I were you, I would make my time really count this spring while Jupiter is still in your sign. But in August, when there's a new moon in Leo and it is trining your sun, you could be tempted to sort of have history repeat itself. You could be tempted to sort of go back and do something the way you've always done it before. But did it work? I mean, you should really assess what has worked in your life and what has been problematic or troublesome. And I'd stay away from the troublesome stuff this year, Aries, because it could get you in trouble. In fact, many people who may be deciding to make power plays that they think would be successful are going to be dismayed because they will have no support, and that will surprise them. So don't put yourself in that position, Aries. Go for starting something new. And I think you're going to have a marvelous opportunity to do that while Jupiter is in your sun sign this spring. So you really ought to go for that. And then in October, there will be a solar eclipse at 21 degrees of Libra that will oppose your sun sign. And because of that, I think that the scales are tipped in somebody else's favor. And so you should expect that you may not get everything that you want in the fall. But that doesn't mean if you are on the road to recovery in some other way that you couldn't be very successful this year, particularly this spring, Aries. So, I mean, take your vitamins because, have a lot of energy this spring and do something really constructive with it, because you could make great strides in the first 3 months of this year. Actually, in the first 4.5 months, because Jupiter won't leave your sign until May. So, good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when once again your sign is being hit by 2 eclipses. Well, you had 2 eclipses in your sign last year. That makes a total of 4 in just 2 years, Taurus. So certainly you could be anticipating change. And this year, that solar eclipse that occurs in April is at 0 degrees in your sign, which means you could be right at the start of something new, Taurus. And you could be, as we all will be, you could be very busy this spring. But by the time of the solar eclipse in Taurus, which is a fixed financial sign, as you well know, somebody is going to want a lot of money. And for instance, if you were thinking of making an investment, it might be a little too expensive for you, Taurus. And now, you might have the money to, say, buy something expensive, but do you have the money for all the upkeep? Because upkeep costs a lot of money, too. So do taxes. And so you have to be very careful not to go overboard, and also be very careful to pay down debt this year. Because last year was all about the money, and this year is still going to be really centered, for the most part, on the money. Because both eclipses in the spring are in the fixed financial signs just the way they were in 2022. So, Taurus, you really do have to be careful with your money. I think that you are sort of off with the old and on with the new this year. And I think that a delayed dream of yours could come true. Actually, that's true for everybody in February. And so if you are sort of looking for new horizons in the month of February, and you've had a special dream or desire of yours, it may come true, Taurus, but you've got to keep it in an affordable way, or make it come true in an affordable way. Because if you don't pay down debt this year, it is going to sink you, Taurus. And that's because we're in a period of high inflation and high debt. And so that's twice as expensive. And it means that the things that you buy are not the value of the price that's being charged. That's why you have to be really careful with how you spend your money. And Taurus is generally very good at getting a good price, and they like high quality. But as I'm saying, don't go overboard, because if you can afford to buy something but you can't afford to maintain it or pay the taxes on it, then what good is it? So just try to be as careful as you can. There is another eclipse in your sign in late October, and that's a lunar eclipse. And so there will be a somewhat final parting of the ways or change somewhere in your life in the fall, Taurus. And it can be that one woman goes and another woman comes, and that could be at your workplace, or it could be in some sort of a business transaction, or something that you do among a group. And so you just have to be very, very careful, and don't go overboard this year, because if you make a mistake, it's going to be real expensive. So if you could lower your sights a little bit, Taurus, I think you'd get through the year a little bit better. Whatever you want. Do you really need it all this year? Maybe you could, you can space out your purchases or your investments so that you are not taking so much risk. Because remember, I told you this is going to be a year of ups and downs, and we're all going to have them. And that's why we need to be on the road to recovery. And they're not all, if you go through ups and downs this year, Taurus, they may not all be your fault. It can be that you are subject to conditions around you. So that's why you need to be extra cautious this year, if you can be. And remember, whatever you don't get this year, as far as an investment or a purchase goes, there's always next year, Taurus. And so it's better to pay down your debt and hang on to your money a little bit this year. People who want to do real expensive things have got to think about that real carefully this year. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Well, Gemini, you start off the year in doing sort of a new creative project, or you have a new creative idea, and it can move forward. You're going to be very busy this spring, Gemini. There are no retrograde planets, and so you're just going to zoom ahead. And the funny thing is, Gemini, the busier you get, the more refreshing it will be. You're going to enjoy being too busy this spring, Gemini, because Geminis like to have a lot of irons in the fire, and you're multifaceted, so you can handle different things, and you can manage your time well so that you can do that. Your sign rules temporary or part-time work, so you can work on one project a little bit and then another project a little bit, and you can accomplish both of them, Gemini. So I think that you are going to be sort of up and running this spring and loving it, absolutely enjoying yourself. By the time of your birthday, though, you could be feeling a little bit restless, and around that time in say June or early summer, you have to be very careful not to move too fast, Gemini, because you may be prone to making mistakes. And so you're very vulnerable then. And that is why you really should slow down as you approach your birthday, and actually for the better part of the summer you should slow down. Because if you move too fast and you make mistakes, what good is that? Then you always have to go back. You've wasted time, and you've wasted your great effort. So slow down this summer if you can. Then by October, when there is a solar eclipse on October 14th at 21 degrees of Libra, which will trine your sun, Gemini, it's like you're in clover. You're going to be able to enjoy this fall a really good partnership or a very favorable legal deal that will really enhance your reputation or your career, or just simply make you very happy. So you are one person, as long as you're sort of careful at times this year, Gemini, that you are one person that is going to be on the road to recovery one way or another, maybe making up for lost time, as we all would have to do since we've come out of the pandemic. We've all had to make up for lost time. You could do that this year and really be the big winner and come to the end of your road of recovery by November. And so you'd be pretty happy. So good luck. Just remember to slow down around your birthday. But this spring, you're just going to really go for it, Gemini, and you're absolutely going to love it. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a year that actually, Cancer, believe it or not, it's going to be easier than you think. And the reason why is that starting even as early as next month in February, under the Pisces new moon, you are probably going to be able to make a delayed dream come true. Now, it may not all come true in February, but that's when you can begin to make it come true. And it would be something that you had had your heart set on for a while, Cancer. And now you can sort of get going on it as early as February, which is great, because that Pisces new moon in February will trine your sun, and there are no retrograde planets. It's like if you've been looking for excuses not to go forward, well, you're going to run out of excuses in February, so you may as well just go for that delayed dream, Cancer, because it would make you very happy. By your birthday, there's a new moon on July 17th at 25 degrees of Cancer in your sign, and there is the possibility that you are going to be making a very fortunate and very comfortable and surprisingly easy move this summer. And if you're not doing the moving, Cancer, maybe somebody's moving in with you. But there's a move somewhere, and I think you are involved with it, and what it will lead to is what I would say is complete bliss for you. In other words, sometime this summer you're going to be settling down, and by Thanksgiving, I think that you are going to be very grateful for the peace and the joy that are in your heart. And they come from some of the changes that you make this year in order to make a dream come true. And you really should do that because, you know, February will be good for you, July will be good for you, and November will be very good for you. And so that is why you can make steady progress toward fulfilling a long-delayed dream. And I think that that involves a fortunate, very comfortable, and surprisingly easy move, either on your part or someone else's, and absolute peace and bliss by Thanksgiving. By Thanksgiving, you will be very glad wherever you are. You'll be happy about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you have to be a little bit more careful about what you do this year. And the reason why is that in some respects it could be sort of a turnaround year for you. Well, that would be good because we all have something that we want to recover from, even if it's just the way the pandemic slowed us down. Maybe this is the year we got to make up for lost time. But Leo, you have to be a little bit careful, because you could start something new in the spring easily. And that is because Jupiter, in fact, right now, you could. Jupiter is in Aries, trining your sun. So that's very positive. But by the new moon in your sign in August, Leo, if you decide, since, you know, Leos like to be in charge of things, or they like to be the boss, and you could have a lot of fun around your birthday, that's fine. But at the same time, if you're deciding that history has got to repeat itself and you want to make a power play the way you used to do, I urge you not to do that. And the reason why is that this is a time around your birthday when if you make the mistake of trying to assert yourself too much in August, you are going to not only not succeed, but you are going to be real surprised at the lack of support as others abandon you. See, you have more to lose than you think if you make a power play or let history repeat itself in August. So don't do it. Because, you know, Leos like to be happy too. And power play is, the only person it's really going to hurt is you, Leo, if you do it. So don't. And then, as the year progresses, around the end of the year, even though the new moon in December, on December 12th, at 21 degrees of Sagittarius, is trining your sun, it is a new moon that could create problems. And so it could create problems for you, because the sun, new moon, and Mars in Sagittarius are going to be trining your sun, but they're going to be squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And so you could be tempted around Christmas time or in December. Remember, the show is called The Triumph of Good Over Evil. You could be tempted to do a little something that maybe you shouldn't be doing around Christmas time or in December. And I urge you not to do it, Leo, because no good will come of it. And if you think, oh, well, I can get away with it, I've gotten away with it before, not this year. So try to be at your very best. Try to be a little angel this year, Leo. Or what you can do, since your sign rules leadership, is you can get on that road to recovery and make up for any past mistakes by asserting yourself as a good example in a leadership position. In other words, if you decided, particularly this spring, to start something new, then be at your best and set a good example for everybody else. And that way, good will triumph over any temptation that you face this year. Because if you give in to temptation, even if it's just to get angry at somebody, it'll hurt you a lot worse than it'll hurt anybody else. So, gotta be on your best behavior this year, Leo. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Virgo, this is a year of transition for you. And so, during the year, there can be times when you may feel as if you're sort of treading water. You know, you're sort of you're sort of doing a lot of things, but not getting anywhere. Well, that's not really true, Virgo. Particularly since there are times when there can be so many ups and downs this year that just to stay steady is a triumph, and you can do that. But I said you would be in a period of transition this year. And that is why, because you can be doing sort of the same old thing and thinking that you're not really getting anywhere. But the fact that you are steadily continuing to do your best means that you are getting somewhere. Because more and more people, if they don't get on that road of recovery and do things that are really good this year, they'll fall by the wayside. And there is the possibility, particularly under the Taurus, there's 2 eclipses in Taurus, and they both trine your sun. And actually all the eclipses either sextile or trine your sun this year, Virgo. And so you will have opportunities to make progress in small steps. You could say to yourself, well, I've made some small steps and they don't really amount to much. Yes, they do. Other people see that differently. They see that in a year of change and ups and downs, you're the one, even if you're taking small steps, you're the one doing the work, and you're the one that is advancing. And so we don't all have to have big victories. But since this is a transition year for you, it means that every step that you do take is going to transition you into something new. And you will have opportunities, you will have new opportunities this year because all the eclipses are favorable to your sun sign. So keep doing what you're doing, Virgo. Believe it or not, you're setting a good example for a lot of people because you're so steady. And Virgo rules finishing. Maybe this year you are going to be teaching a few people how to finish things, because you would never let anybody else down. You would always stay and finish the job. And maybe some other people need to learn that. So you could be setting a good example. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. Libra, lucky you. You have a solar eclipse in your sign this year. And that is around your birthday, because it is on October 14th and it's at the 21st degree of Libra, and that is a Jupiter number. There's going to be a lot of people enjoying pretty good luck in the last quarter of the year. In other words, in October, November, and December. And that is because, Libra, you could sort of be off and running at the very start of the year, right now. And the reason why is that on January 21st, and that's coming right up, there is a new moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius trines your sun. And so you could be off and thinking of doing something new and creative. And there would be nothing stopping you, Libra, and the reason why is because there's no retrograde planets from January 21st to April 20, or January 24th to April 21st. So with no retrograde planets in the spring, everybody's going to be busier than they think, and they're going to, I think, enjoy it. You know, it's like a lot of us are just going to get going again, or we'll have more energy to do things, and you will too, Libra. So by your birthday, when this solar eclipse hits in your sign, we will have made enough progress throughout the year. Even if there are ups and downs this year, you still will be making enough progress that you could be enjoying a very happy partnership. And you'd be at the end of your road of recovery. You would be on to something that would be like a dream coming true for you. And so don't make the mistake of thinking this is going to be the same old kind of year for you, Libra. It's not. And you have the ability, in your sort of charming, peaceful way, which you're good at. You're really, you know, Libras are people pleasers. They sort of know how to get along with everybody. And you could use that talent, so you should get out in the public eye. You should try to make some deals. Nobody can afford to be in debt. So everybody has to be on the road to recovery as far as their debt goes. They've got to get that debt paid down while the interest rates are so high. Otherwise, they're just going broke. I mean, you can't keep up with high debt and high interest. It'll sink anybody. So try to get your bills paid down, and then keep trying to do new creative things. Because Aquarius, which is where the new moon is on the 21st of this month, which is trining your sun, it rules the future. So that's pointing you right toward the future. I wouldn't be surprised if you heard some good news or something really interesting by the end of this month, and that you should go forward. Things will not go straight forward this year, though. You have to remember that, Libra. There's always going to be ups and downs this year. And many of them will be out of our control. And so that's okay. We can still keep going. And creative people, they don't let too much stop them, because you can just be creative in your mind. And you can put your creative ideas down. They may not all come true this year, but this is going to be a good year for you, Libra. And one of the things is that it's going to give you a very good partnership by your birthday. And I don't know if it's a romantic partnership or a business partnership, but it is going to make you pretty happy. So congratulations. All right, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is the time this year when there is still an eclipse in your sign, Scorpio. The spring eclipses in April and May are in exactly the same fixed financial signs that they were last year. And so it's still all about the money this year, Scorpio. It actually is for everyone, because nobody can survive high debt and high interest rates. And so the road to recovery for everybody who has debt is to get that debt down. And if you have any, that's what you should be doing too, Scorpio. This is not a year when people are going to part with their money very easily. And that can be due to chaotic conditions around us. I mean, maybe something is happening in another country, but it affects us. Well, we don't have any control over that, but we'll have to respond to that. And so you should sort of try to go forward. In February, you are going to have a marvelous opportunity to make a delayed dream come true. And so you need to follow up on that, Scorpio. And it favors the Pisces new moon in February trines your sun, you know. So go right ahead and make a delayed dream come true. There would be nothing stopping you. There are no retrograde planets then. And you'd be operating under a new moon. And that would have the sun, new moon, and Neptune in Pisces. Saturn isn't there in February. And so a delayed dream can come true for you. By July, when there is a new moon in Cancer, it will very favorably affect you, Scorpio. And that means that you could make a very comfortable move. Or you could, there would be some change in your living, even in your living quarters or in your surroundings. And it would be very favorable for you, Scorpio. So it might be you that's making a move. But it would be a comfortable move. It would be something that will be much easier than you think. And also, it's affordable. And it can bring you a sense of settling down. And I don't mean settling down by yourself. I mean that there is a possibility that if a dream comes through, starts to come true in February, that you can be settling down with someone by July. And then in November, when there is a new moon in your sign, I think that you are going to be not only very happy, but you could be enjoying some sort of financial rise in one way or another. Maybe in your career you're getting a raise at work, or maybe you've made some investments that are going to become more valuable than you thought they would be. But there's going to be more money coming in, Scorpio. So you're going to have a great November. Not just because it's your birthday, but you are going to have a great November. And in the end, it will be because your heart will be very happy. And you will experience a sense of peace by being home at last. You will be home at last by November. And as I said, you won't be alone. Maybe you're going to start to make the dream come true in February. Maybe by November, your heart will be very quietly peaceful and grateful for the changes you make this year. And I think that they will bring you happiness. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, at the beginning of the year, I think that you can display some amazing resilience, some very rewarding resilience. That means that you could probably get something off the ground right now in January, Sagittarius. And then as the spring progresses, since there are no retrograde planets, you can really get the ball rolling on something, which is good. So I think that that will be successful for you. And when I say resilience, what I mean is that if something had not worked out before, say something didn't work out last year for one reason or another, or it got delayed for one reason or another, then with your amazing resilience that I think you're going to have right away, or you already have it, you can sort of rise to the occasion and really get going on something new. And I think that you're going to be successful at that, Sagittarius. And then when the Leo new moon hits in August, I urge you not to go overboard. And the reason why is that it will trine your sun, which is great. But at the same time, I think that you would do better to sort of keep your nose to the grindstone and work hard this year, Sagittarius. And that should be enough for you. And the reason why is that everybody is going to be going through these ups and downs. And they're not, lots of times there will be things that we're not in control of, but we have to respond to them. And so with your resilience that you'll have this year, I think that no matter what is thrown at you, Sagittarius, I think that you're going to be able to shift, or you're going to be able to adapt, and you could do pretty well this year, which is good. It's just that you have to be tempted. You may be tempted to go overboard in August, and I do not think you should do that. You particularly should not make a power play in August. You will think you can get away with it, but nobody's going to get away with something like that this year. There will be no support. There will be 6 retrograde planets in August. Nothing's going to go too fast. So that is why people who sort of want to get out in front, they're going nowhere. It's going to be a waste of energy. And so just sort of keep going on your own, at your own speed this year, Sagittarius. And then by your birthday, there's a new moon on December 12th in your at 21 degrees of Sagittarius in your sign. But it is making it has Mars in the sign, so ooh, that's not too good. And that Mars in your sign is squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So there will be 2 malefic planets squaring each other, so you can be very tempted around your birthday to do something wrong. And remember, the title of the show is The Triumph of Good Over Evil. So if you're really tempted to do something and you don't think you're going to get caught at it, I can guarantee you will be. Sooner or later you will be caught at it. So try to be an angel around your birthday, Sagittarius, because if you are tempted to do anything that you sort of shouldn't be doing, you could somewhat forego all of the good things that you're capable of doing this year. They could just blow up by December if you respond to temptation. So don't do it. Under no circumstances. Just there's one way to avoid temptation, and it's just say no and mean it, and then turn around and walk away. And you can do that, Sagittarius. And I think you might have to do that by your birthday, because conditions are a little harsh. You're going to be facing some challenges in December. So you can say no and walk away. And that will be a triumph of good over evil. So, good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. Capricorn, this is a year for you that that is a building year. And one of the reasons it's a building year, Capricorn, is because there's no planets in there's no new moons in Capricorn this year. That's because last year there were 2 new moons because of the way the planets were moving. And so this year there's no new moon in Capricorn. But this is still a building year for you, Capricorn. And the nice thing about that is that you can go at something and you can take your time and you can take slow steps, and you can make sure that every step you do take in this building year is done really well, or it's well documented, or you're setting up, you could be setting up some sort of procedures for something. And so you want to make sure that, everything is done correctly. So that's why it's a building year. And you can just go at your own speed and not go to the next step until you're sure the one you're working on is really done right. And you can keep going and keep going and keep going like that. And you could say, oh, where's the glory in that? Well, let me tell you about that, Capricorn. Your building year, little step by step by step, doing your best, is going to bring great rewards for you in 2024. It will bring public recognition, and ought to bring in some more money in one way or another. And it will prove to be very satisfying for you. The rewards come next year, Capricorn. The building has to get done this year, and done exactly right. And it's not a year when you should skip steps on anything. The Capricorns don't like to do that anyway, but you really cannot miss a part of a procedure or miss making the right contacts or something like that. You have to really cover all your bases every step of the way all year long. And then the rewards roll in next year. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn rules time. Capricorns somehow know that they always have enough time. I don't know how they figure that out, but they do. They live a long time. And so you have the time to go slow and be very thorough if you want to, Capricorn. And that is really going to pay off next year. So I suggest you do that. When there are the Libra solar eclipse on October 14th, will square your sun. And so there can be a change in a partnership or a challenge to a partner, or there can be a change in some sort of legal dealings, and you would want to be real careful about that. But I think you're going to do fine this year, as long as you can satisfy your own high standards. I mean, if your boss at work is saying, oh, hurry up and finish this, okay, you can't complain to your boss, but if you know something has to be done better, then you'll just have to find out a way to do it, because you need to satisfy your high standards. Even if your boss doesn't have high standards, it's your high standards that are going to bring you the rewards next year. So do your best, Capricorn. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. Well, Aquarius, you could be up and running right now, and that's because there is a new moon in your sign this month on January 21st, and it is at 2 degrees of Aquarius. And so you can be eager to start some new creative project. And I think that you would be very successful at that, Aquarius. I mean, I think that's going to be okay with you. And I do think, just like Gemini, that you are going to be far busier this spring than you think. And that is because there's no retrograde planets to slow you down. And so Aquarians are, they're freedom loving, and they're very creative, and they are generally forward thinking. Aquarius rules sudden surprising change, but it rules things that are ahead of their time. Aquarius rules invention, for instance, and it rules music and electricity and the internet. And it rules the future. And so that's how you're going to start the year right now. I think, Aquarius, you're sort of looking at the future, and you could have a creative project in mind. And you could, one way to be successful right at the start of the year, Aquarius, is to get out and talk to people. Aquarians have minds that are sort of like little sponges. They soak up a lot of information from all different sources. Well, in order to be creative, that's what you have to have. Is you have to be stimulated by different sources. And then somehow an Aquarian puts different things together and comes up with something entirely new. That's how people write music. Where does music come from? Well, it comes from inside somebody, and then they're able to produce sounds or lyrics that no one's ever heard before, and they're just right. How does that happen? It's a mystery. But an Aquarian works that way. So I think you're going to be pretty successful right now, Aquarius. If you want to get out among people, I think that you have spent a little time, or maybe a lot of time, in the last 2.5 years while Saturn was in your sign, thinking about the things you needed to sort of get right, or do over, or do better. And because Saturn makes us learn things the hard way. Now, okay, so Saturn is going to leave and go into Pisces in March, and so it won't, that's fine. You won't have to worry about that, Aquarius. And so, because it won't be in your sign, and so you can just go forward and do things in a more constructive way, is what I'm saying. The spring eclipses, which occur in April and May, are both in the fixed financial signs, and they are both going to square your sun sign. So if you're in any kind of debt, Aquarius, you have got to try your hardest and make it your first priority to get out of debt. Because you could run into financial problems this spring under those eclipses. And they would be reminiscent of some of the challenges and the financial problems that you may have run into last year when the eclipses occurred in the same signs and squared your sun. And so you may want to make sure that, don't spend any money until you've paid down your debts. And then you can go forward. So you may have to be on the road to recovery to your good financial health before you can make a dream or an idea come true. But that doesn't mean you can't start working on it right now, because you can. And if I were you, I would do that. I think Aquarians work from inspiration, and the spring is going to be pretty inspiring for everybody. So go to it, Aquarius. And then in October, when there is a Libra solar eclipse that trines your sun, that's going to be wonderful for you. It simply means that you are going to have a really great partnership, or you're going to be able to sign a wonderful legal contract, and it will be in your favor. In fact, there could be money pouring in. So stay on that road, at least to debt recovery, and get over that this year if you can, because there are better things ahead for you in the fall. So sort of stay on the straight and narrow and go forward, Aquarius, but don't jump off anywhere. Just make sure that you're coming up in a very well prepared way by October, because that's when the rewards can come to you. And they could be financial too. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. Well, Pisces, sort of good news and bad news. The good news is the new moon in your sign in February has the sun and the new moon and Neptune in your sign, and there are no retrograde planets at the time, and you're going to be able to make a delayed dream come true, Pisces. And I think it's going to make you very happy. And so that's really the good news. And it doesn't mean that the whole dream comes true, but it means that you are finally able to take the right steps to make it come true. It's almost as if some limitation is not around anymore, or it's soon to be gone, and you're going to be in a perfect position to make a delayed dream come true. And so congratulations. I think that's going to happen for you, Pisces, which is good. But in March, when Saturn leaves Aquarius and comes into your sign, Saturn is a planet that's called the taskmaster, that makes you sort of do things the hard way. And Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And it rules the things that we kid ourselves about. And so for about the next 2.5 years, you're going to be faced with things that have been like hidden fears that you don't tell anybody about, but you're still sort of afraid of them. And you may be able to talk to somebody about those. Or if you have developed any escapist habits like alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity, you may be able to talk out why you were trying to escape and sort of get something settled in your mind and move beyond it. And so you can look at Saturn in your own sign as, oh, having to do things the hard way. Or you can think that, well, you know, maybe this means that I could be rewarded by clearing up some problems that have been bothering me for a long time. And you would be rewarded for that. That would be good. Anytime that a planet is trining your sun sign, Pisces, after Saturn moves into it, is going to be very good for you. And so in July, the Cancer new moon will trine Saturn and Neptune in your sign. And Neptune is your own ruler. It's well placed in your sign. And then in November, when there is a Scorpio new moon at 21 degrees of Scorpio, and it too, I think there's 4 planets in Scorpio at the time, is trining Saturn and Neptune in your sign. You're going to be in 7th heaven, Pisces. If you have to go on a road to recovery to sort of get over something, or, you know, understand something a little bit better this year, that's fine, because you're going to be completely at the end of that road of recovery by November. And you are going to be experiencing sheer bliss by then. In November, the money rolls in, and so does a very rewarding partnership, or something where, you know, if you start to make a dream come true in February, it's really there by November, Pisces. As long as you stick to things, and remember the show is called The Triumph of Good Over Evil. And so if you've made mistakes in the past, it's just better to understand why, and then, you know, put those aside and go on and live a better life. You can do it, Pisces. So good luck. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can read the blog on our website, starborninstitute.org, and I would be happy to send you the show if you would like to subscribe to it on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I'll send it to you every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And also, I'd love to have you tell your friends about it, because since this is a year when we are having ups and downs, it's important for us to stick together. And we can help each other get through things. And there will be wonderful times. And there will be turnarounds. But then there will be things beyond our control that can affect us. And we're going to have to work with that and get through it. So that's why I'd love to have you tell your friends to tune in on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. or subscribe to the show so that we can all get through this together. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next week. Bye.